Today we're back and we're climbing at Studio Block. We have a morning session of bouldering at Studio Block followed by our workout, which I'll probably do at home on our roof. Since Studio Block doesn't have a Beastmaker, I like to keep my hangs consistent. I like pretty much train exclusively on a Beastmaker. So I'll probably go home to do our workout because Boulderveld is kind of, so like let's say this is Studio Block, our home is here, and then Boulderveld is like the opposite direction. So it's kind of a journey to go all the way to Boulderveld. I'll only do it sometimes. So it's just easier to go home and do the workout rather than going all the way there. Anyway, here's our morning session of bouldering at Studio Block. We're starting with this black one. We were trying this a couple sessions ago, and it was a session that I was feeling really strong in. So I was and I wasn't able to send it, and it was really hard during that session too, while I was feeling like super strong. So I was a bit worried on how it would go today. Like I knew that I was gonna have to be feeling strong like in my warm-up and as I started the session to be able to send this boulder. And that actually ended up being the case. I felt like quite solid in the day. And you can see on that first attempt that I had of the session, I decided to try a different beta that I thought of on the first day that we were working this boulder, but I never actually tried it because I thought that this hold that I heel hook above the undercling, I thought it would be way too bad to step on and like way too bad to heel hook and way too high to toe. But today I decided just to try it because I never actually tried it last session, and it ended up going like quite solidly. And so that eliminates this toe catch thing that I was trying in the last session, which was so hard. I only stuck it once and I wasn't able to redo it, and this beta is much better. You can see though on my last attempt I fell doing it, so it's not like just super easy, and it's not a gimme by any means. The full hold that I'm heel hooking is pretty slopey, so it requires a lot of tension. You see, like when I got that heel hook and I like put my left smear, I just released the hand super slowly and was super scared to move my body at all. Otherwise the heel felt like it was gonna pop and then I'd just be off. So you have to be like super, like keep a lot of tension before you go for the sloper, and then obviously the next hold's really good. And then I had to like squeeze really hard and be really careful at the end, which was no gimme, especially those holds were super greasy. So I had to squeeze really hard. That was a really cool boulder. I really liked working that one. Took 2 sessions to do, so it was nice to not do a 7 on the first session we tried it. It was definitely one of the harder boulders up at Studio Block. I'd say it might actually be the most physically hard. There's probably some boulders that are up right now that are harder for me, just in terms of the style, but in terms of just like physical climbing, that's probably the hardest boulder in the gym. Anyway, here's a boulder on the outdoor wall. They had a new set outside, which I wasn't expecting. And so it was a nice little surprise. This is the only 7 on the new set outside, and it's a super cool boulder. You can see here I am trying like a 1-2 paddle, which is kind of what I thought the boulder was initially. But this hold, like this left hand isn't super good, and so like when I'm like paddling off of it, it feels like it's not really giving me anything. And I realized that this is kind of one of the classic scenarios where you see kind of a modern comp style move on a boulder and you just start trying it rather than almost like let your body do the thinking and trying climbing it how you would naturally. And as soon as I realized the paddle didn't really make sense and I just kind of let my body feel what it wanted to do on the wall, I realized that I can just slowly reach over to this left hold, which made for a really cool, like bouncy lock off. I had to try really hard. I actually ended up pinching that flat hold. It was, my hands are just big enough that I can get like my back 3 and pinch it. And so I lock off to this next hold, and the trick that I found to do the dyno, because I kept falling on it, it kept feeling like, it felt like it should be easy, but at the same time it felt like I wasn't even close. And I knew there was just something I was missing. And I realized what I was missing is that I just had to, since this next hold is kind of over the lip, in order to have my swing, so basically what I figured out is I needed to kind of pinch this hold and then kind of pinch this hold and pull myself away from the wall so that I could pull myself towards the wall to hit this flat hold. And then that way I absorbed my momentum a lot better and I was able to hold that hold. And you can see when I stuck at it, it looked pretty easy, and that's just because I had the momentum right. It's kind of a move where if you have the momentum wrong, it's not going to be even close, but if you have your momentum good, it's going to be easy. That's kind of a common theme with most comp style boulders these days. It's just finding that little trick. And that's what's great about Studio Block, is their setters are so good, and they're able to set these boulders all the time where it's just these very minute movements with your body that is going to be the difference between doing a move and not doing it. So I'm like so happy that the setting team here is just really good. Just quality boulders all the time. And so now we're moving on to this boulder that I've tried a couple sessions now. I've kind of hopped on it for a little bit here and there. And this first move, I just don't know. You can see I'm like trying a bunch of things, not really looking close. I brought my high angles today, like I mentioned in the last video, like my old shoes that I could toe hook this volume, because I thought of some new beta where I toe hook the volume and have my right foot in the big yellow so that I can kind of fall down, grab the volume, and then my right foot's already planted and then I can paddle. But it just made no sense, and the toe hook is not very good. Even with shoes that I have no reason to not be able to toe hook in, I still can't do the move. And so I think I'm just forfeiting on that boulder. I have no idea how to do it. Maybe I'll try to find a setter and ask like what they were going for. I have one more idea that I might try like next session, just give it a couple tries, where have the big donuts and I start in a bat hang and I swing over and catch the volume with my toe hooks already up and then go from there. I might try that like as a last ditch effort. Other than that, I have no idea how to do that boulder. And so yeah, I just ran the ending, and the ending is still pretty hard as well. I wasn't able to do it on the first session I tried it. So it was kind of satisfying just to do that ending even on its own. And so now here we are moving on to this boulder. We tried this boulder in the last session at Studio Block while we were trying that first boulder of this session. And I was like not even close to it. In the last session, I was kind of working this jump off of these yellow jugs you can see right next to where I'm jumping off of, and I still couldn't do the paddle. And so here that was the second session though, and it was at the end of a second session, so I was a bit tired. I didn't have the energy to kind of commit to the super intense jump move. So now this is like the morning session. We've only done a couple boulders at this point. I was feeling pretty solid and I had a lot of energy, so I decided to give some tries to the full version. Now this move is crazy. It is so big. This is definitely my anti-style kind of move. But even still, like this move is just so hard. Like the distance you have to travel is so far. And when I was first trying this boulder, I thought it would end up being like kind of a run, like step, step, step on this volume. And when I was trying it like that, I had no chance, because what I realized is that you only need to step on this volume once, and that's all you need to kind of generate for the swing, because your feet is not what's going to get you all the way to the final hold. It's this paddle hold. And so after I realized that was kind of the trick to unlock me being able to try it from the start. And so yeah, you can see I'm like, some of my tries look somewhat close and some of them don't look close at all. I was having a really difficult time figuring out what was going to work on this move. I thought that maybe I kind of had to stay a bit lower so that I wasn't kind of making an arch like this, because that's not what you want to do with your momentum. And eventually what I realized, and I kind of just realized this by accident, because I was giving it a try one time and I happened to be paying attention to what I was doing. What I realized gave me a really close attempt was, so first of all, what I'm always trying to do is step as far to the left on the volume as I can. Sometimes I am not able to execute that, but you can see that try was really close, and I was pretty upset that I just didn't hold on to it. I think one of my hands dry fired and I was there too. But on that try, I realized the trick to sticking this move was actually very similar to the last boulder we did, or the boulder that we did on the outdoor wall, and this is a theme with bouldering that is going to help you almost in every sort of jumping move that you do. Yeah, any sort of jumping move that you do, especially when it involves like swinging with your legs, this trick is usually going to help you. And so that is always trying to create momentum going towards the wall, like direction of your body coming away from the wall towards the wall. So what I did is I tried to swing and kind of almost arc away from the wall and back in. I placed my body a bit further away from the wall, so that way when I hit the paddle hold, not only am I pulling myself to the left, but I'm pulling myself towards the wall. And what that does is it's like, let's say I want to go jump into this undercling from the start. What I would do is I would run at the wall from the mat and then just jump into that position, and it would be super easy, right? Like obviously I'm jumping from the ground, but still it's because you're running towards the wall. And so oftentimes what's going to help you stick a dyno or like a paddle or anything like that is trying to mimic the movement that you would have when you're just running from the wall and jumping, or running from the ground and jumping on the wall, like jumping into the position of the end of the move. So the way you do that is I do the swing and I come out from the wall as I'm swinging and I pull myself back in with the crimps, my foot lands and I'm kind of going towards the wall and I grab the paddle hold and again I pull myself towards the wall so that I'm like creating the same sort of motion as that I would be as if I was just running from the ground. And then all of a sudden it's kind of like catching the egg, right? That's what you do when you catch the final hold. You're already kind of moving towards the wall and you're absorbing your momentum in a way that makes you not have to grab this hold super hard. Because if I like hit the paddle hold and I'm close to the wall and then I'm like coming away from the wall as I hit this undercling, all of a sudden I'm coming away from the wall and I have to grab this hold super hard. And you can see I did that a few times where my hands just fired off because I had to hold this hold really hard, but I couldn't do that. And so when I stuck it, I was absorbing my momentum and that was the trick. Anyway, here we are trying another boulder. So this is a 6, but this boulder here is a 7 in disguise. I already went a little bit overtime on the running boulder. You saw I tried it a lot. And I thought, like I was kind of like 15 minutes overtime. I was climbing for like an hour and 15 minutes. And so I thought, oh, you know, I'll just do this 6 really quick. It looks pretty cool. I still had a lot of energy because the running move wasn't really like that tiring. So I had a bit of energy. I said, oh, I'll just do the 6. It looks cool, looks hard. I might take a couple tries. And then I ended up getting my butt kicked on it. I tried it a lot. I was getting really frustrated and my feet were slipping all over the place like this. It was really painful. I'd scripted my shins a bunch. I was getting so frustrated. I just started trying the boulder over and over and over again. And I worked it for like 40 minutes. So that session I went like overtime a lot. Instead of an hour session, I had an hour and 40 minute session. Here you can see Maddie's chalk bags, homemade chalk bags that she's been kind of making for a while. I think like a couple months now, almost 2 or 3 months. And they turned out like super cool. We're gonna start selling them on the website if you're interested in that. So yeah, that slab like was kicking my butt. I think, and this often happens, like sometimes if I hop on a boulder at the end of a session and it's like, I expect it to go quickly and I kind of give half-assed attempts and I realize that the boulder's harder than I think, I'll usually just kind of start this weird flow of attempts where it doesn't go so well. So if I come to back to that boulder next session with a bit more focus and understanding that it's gonna be hard, hopefully I'll be able to do it. So yeah, anyway, that wrapped up the boulder session. And then I went home to do my workout and I was able to, so I did 4 sets of hangs, which was on the schedule today at 100 pounds. They felt super solid. 100-pound hangs on the small beast maker edge is like, it's good for me. I can definitely go heavier, but it was super solid to do that in the session. But then literally right as I finished my hangs, you can see it's super cloudy out. It started raining and my workout got rained out. So I just had to rush inside, grab all my crap and get back inside. And then, yeah, it was like started pouring even heavier. So I think I'm just going to scrap that workout. I need to be a little bit more prepared and check my weather app before we do the workout. But it was a good day of training overall. And so tomorrow's a rest day, and then we have 2 more days of training before our rest week, which I really need because I'm starting to get tired.
Tegaderm on the ends.
Maddie, this is content. This is from that black paddle boulder. I kept smashing my foot against the wall and it hurts.
Look, I have 4 different kinds.